All right, YouTube. Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast talking to Auburn football. Go ahead and like the video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speak Sports Auburn. Auburn taking on Georgia State, who a couple of years ago actually started their season off 2019 with a win over the Tennessee Volunteers of the SEC. Like the video, comment, and subscribe. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger War Eagle. This is the final prediction show as we go into week 4 of Auburn's football season. Coming off a disappointing loss to Penn State, and that was disappointing on a lot of levels, and we will tackle that in just a few minutes. Go ahead and also, if you feel compelled to, hit the Cash App, $ Kennard Stewart, KENNARD STEWART. So what did we find out about the Auburn Tigers last week? Well, number one, we know that they can play with poise on the road. This was a team that did not fold under pressure. Even after finding themselves behind 21-10, they found their way to get back into the football game 21-20, but just was not able to finish it off because of some, I would say, a combination of questionable play calling and questionable execution. But it is what it is, a very hostile environment. You're taking this team on the road for the first time in probably one of the more non-conference hostile environments ever. And it just kind of goes to show that when you play these football games, hell, you'd rather have it in a neutral site. Because just imagine Auburn against Oregon in 2019. That game might have been a little bit different than what it was. But luckily, Penn State gets to taste a little bit of their own medicine when they come to Auburn on next year. Now, let's talk about Penn State real quick. Penn State, the number 6 team in the country, they're definitely going to have to do a lot to hold up to their billing. They're going to have a lot more production out of Noah Cain. I think Sean Clifford has had a solid performance thus far, but 280 yards. Auburn's defensive backfield has been in the spot all week. You know, people are questioning their abilities. People are questioning, saying that, you know, they got to go back to the drawing board. But when you really look at it, it wasn't much that Penn State did. You know, 280 yards passing, that's not a game-breaking Sean Clifford needs to be, you know, a top runner for the Heisman. I think Auburn does need to be a little bit more aggressive on the perimeter. Also, Penn State in their first couple of games did not really show a lot of tight end action. They did show it in the Auburn game. They caught Auburn off guard, and it is what it is. Auburn got caught slipping on the road. Penn State wins that game 28-20. Now, here's the skinny on Auburn at the moment. Number one, Owen Pappoe, who is the starting linebacker, 5-star recruit out of Grayson, Georgia, back from 2019, will probably not play, and rightfully so. Also, his partner, Zacoby McClain, who went down with a targeting penalty, which I think was super duper questionable. So let's talk about this real quick. If it were you, you're taking on Georgia State. Zacoby McClain cannot come back until the second half because of the targeting penalty. Would you let him play? By show of hands, just real quick, by show of hands, would you let Zacoby McClain play? He's an aggressive football player. And you just can't hold the rabbit back, no matter who you're playing against. So do you run the risk of, 1, an injury? Do you run the risk of 2, another targeting penalty? If it were me, I would just go ahead and hold him out. I would hold him out. Yes, you want to have all of your top players available, but you also got to be smart. I hold both of those guys out, and I give the opportunities for some young guys to make some plays. It might make a difference in the football game. It might even allow Georgia State the opportunity to score a touchdown, even though I'm not sure about that. Now, here's something that a lot of you guys have not talked about. You have not complained about all year. And I think it's a good thing. You all have not complained about the play of the offensive line. You have not, blamed any discrepancies as far as the offense's production on the offensive line, and that gives kudos to this offensive line. I think they gave Bo Nix and the Auburn running game an opportunity to win this game. This game is not on them. Will Friend has done an absolutely great job in getting these guys prepared week in and week out. So at least up to this point, Akron, Alabama State, Georgia State, we do not see this offensive line as a liability. Next, how about Jarquez Hunter and Tank Bigsby as a combination that down the stretch in the SEC can be a very powerful, a very dangerous tandem. Even with limited touches, they combine for 200 yards. I think these guys are well on their way to being one of the better 1-2 punch for the Auburn Tigers in recent history. Will they continue this? Will they start to, kind of embrace the idea that the offense is going to have to surround themselves by these two particular football players? That's yet to be seen. I think it would be foolish for the offensive line, for the offense led by Mike Bobo, to not really consider to start the offense with Jarquez Hunter, Tank Bigsby, and now Sean Shiver's back. You talk about a situation that could really be beneficial to the Auburn Tigers down the stretch as they face one of the toughest football schedules in all of college football and all of the SEC. Just look at the diagram. I think Auburn has the number 3 toughest schedule in all of college football. Not much to talk about as far as Georgia State. Yeah, they like to do a little run-pass option. We're not disrespecting them as a football team. But as we get to prediction time, Auburn back at home, homecoming, 3 o'clock football game in Jordan-Hare Stadium. I think Auburn finds a way to really reel themselves back in, especially after an emotional game, especially after the game that they had to do a little extra to prepare for. Really unfair preparation, to be honest with you. But they come back to the friendly confines of the Deep South. Georgia State, you know what you're getting out of them. Down the stretch, all of the teams that Auburn will face, no matter how tough they are, is familiar. Georgia coming to Auburn. Georgia's got to come to Auburn. Auburn's got to go to Arkansas. Arkansas does not do anything, at least from a crowd standpoint, that you have to prepare extra for. A really nice stretch for Auburn. Prediction time. I'm going with Derek Mason pushing the defense to not only redeem themselves, but figure out a way to pitch the shutout. Auburn 45-0. Vernon SpeaksSports-Auburn for the podcast Talking Auburn Football. Like the video, comment, and subscribe. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger. War Eagle.